Hello, Blowhole Nation. How the hell is everybody today? Hello, the lovely
Hi.
Ash Cat.
Hi.
How are you
I'm
today?
doing great. Not bad. I mean, let's see, this weekend was filled of just movies and not getting off the couch. So it was great. It was honestly a
That's
great
what
time.
this kind of year feels like. I'm wiped the fuck out, man. I got to tell you, Jen just had a little medical procedure on Friday, so I'm home catering to her as best as I can. I got to tell you, the fucking house is a mess. The appreciation that I have
you do nothing at home
towards this woman, holy shit! And we have help there during the week, but just Saturday and Sunday with all these animals that are running around the house, the dishes are overflowing through the sink. I am exhausted. I had to take him yesterday. We had my son has the computer class that he does. The girls do ice skating. And every one of them wanted something different for lunch. So now I'm at Taco Bell, I'm at Starbucks, I'm getting Greek. I come home, I'm exhausted. I finally sit down. And it's like 7 o'clock, and the boy, whatever the hell his name is, comes downstairs at 7 o'clock.
Your child?
Yeah, whatever.
The boy.
The boy.
He comes down the stairs, because I don't see him. He sits upstairs, he goes, "Can I have dinner?" And I'm like,
Didn't we just...
I thought I fucking fed you earlier. They eat a few times a day, these kids.
Oh, yeah, they're never ending.
Unbelievable.
I bet you thought to yourself, I can't wait to open the restaurant. I just want to get the hell out of here.
I did.
Like at this rate, yeah.
I did. And what I find is I think I have that seasonal depression. Right? And I think for many different reasons. One, I hate the cold. It sucks. Two, obviously I have no income coming in this time of year. But it's depressing. And this is why I'm very grateful today. I'm very grateful today because our return guest, and I told you, Chef Eric Levine, I told you a couple weeks back, out of all of the guests that we had over the last year plus, you're one of the more motivational. And let me explain why. First, the commonality because we are in the industry.
Yes.
But, and we were just talking about this before we started, you cannot be sustainable in this industry without making those changes.
Yeah.
Mind, body, and soul.
Yep.
And when we spoke last time, the shit that you were talking about was so encouraging. So help me today because I'm ready to fucking kill myself.
No, me too. Oh my God.
Put the gun down.
And welcome back. Chef, how are you, man?
Good. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back. Happy New Year. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you come up on the mic a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's great to be back. I appreciate that.
Well,
it's been interesting since the last time I was here. Lots of great stuff. Actually ran my first marathon.
Congratulations!
Wow,
yeah, it was It was pretty wild. Like
cool.
It was weird. Not weird, but it was on the 3-year anniversary of my life change. So November 3rd of 21, I made a decision to shift everything, and 3 years later, run the New York Marathon.
Wow!
So that was pretty epic. It was a challenge because I have no cartilage in my left knee. So I knew going into it was going to be tough.
Wow.
Got to the 13th mile and my knee blew out.
13 mile.
Came over the 59th Street Bridge at mile 16 and ripped my right groin. So now I have 10 miles to go. And I text Deb and I'm like, I'm done. She's like, no, one step at a time. I'll be here till midnight waiting for you if I have to. I'm like, I could barely move. But every time I got to a crowd, like the crowds, it was amazing. Other than meeting Deb, it was the best thing I've ever done in my life. Really? It was like the crowds are out there on every street. Cool. There were DJs out there. People, you don't know these people. And they're like giving you high fives. The energy was insane. So being from Brooklyn and running through the boroughs, it was like home, But you really got to see what the melting pot of New York is like. Not this political bullshit. Yeah. Not the stuff that people, the point fingers at each other. It was like community. Every single community was out there until the dead of the night I came over 59th Street Bridge, ripped up my right groin, and I'm still going, right? I got 10 miles to go. And all I kept thinking is like, what's my why? And Deb would text me like, just remember your purpose, remember what you're doing it for. I'm raising money for charity for the Lymphoma Leukemia Society. And I'm like, okay, one step at a time. And you come over, there's the Willis Avenue Bridge, which connects Bronx to Manhattan. They call the people on the bridge with signs that say "Last Damn Bridge." Because
like,
trust
thank
me,
God.
everything in Manhattan is fucking uphill.
Right.
It is.
Oh, hell
You
no.
keep on thinking like I'm gonna come downhill. It's gonna be a little bit easier of a trot.
Nope.
No, everything's uphill. So these people are out there and they're just genuinely rooting for you.
Wow.
When you feel like giving up, they're rooting for you. So that's a pretty cool thing. So I get to the entrance of Central Park, and they're like, "You're almost there. You're almost there." And I'm like, "Awesome! I'm
Thank
almost
God
there."
I'm almost there.
Bullshit. It's 2.5 more miles
Oh my
of
God,
straight
no.
up shit pain. But I wound up the last 800 meters. I pushed as hard. I gave everything I had. It wasn't much, but I gave everything that I had.
Wow.
Come across the finish line. They put the medal on me, and I'm holding onto the table. The guy's like, "You're all right?" I'm like, "Oh, I can't stand." He brings over a wheelchair. They bring me over to the medical center. I was in hypothermia.
Really?
I was
So
running a 91
People
point.
are just running 16 miles and not stopping. I can't run
26.2
Okay.
miles. Please don't
I
take it
can't
away
even
from me.
run
okay?
1 mile. I can't run 1 mile.
When you
Oh.
you train and you it's the mindset, right? It's like what else can you do? And I'm so like driven in my own way
Right.
that it's like there's no way I wasn't going to do it. And when I text Deb, I'm done. I knew what she was going to say about pushing through it, but I was like, there's no way I'm not going to do this.
So you had to, I imagine, when that was done, it had to be emotional for you.
Yeah, well, definitely. You know what hit me? It actually hit me a week later. That next Sunday when I was driving to work, I was like, think about all the amazing shit that's happened to me,
Right.
for me, to get to this point. 55 years old,
Yeah.
beating drug addiction, cancer,
Right.
child abuse, lost a ton of weight, all this shit. And I'm like, this is like the icing on the cake. Like I
Yeah.
ran the
that's-
marathon. They say like
Wow.
1% of people ever do it in their life and finish. Pretty cool. Pretty
Good
cool
for you.
club to be in.
Congratulations.
But I want to go
Wow.
back and do it now because I want to do it the right way, but I have to have knee surgery. And Deb's like, "You're not doing it." I'm like,
hate
let's see what
surgeries.
happens.
He's an accomplishment junkie.
Yeah, I love to do
Damn.
things.
You know what?
Yeah.
I wish I had that.
That's a healthy.
No,
type
it's
of
healthy. Yeah, well, it's better than the
addiction and
downside,
things.
right? It's there's so many good things in life, and when you look at, you can look at anything in a negative, right? You can look at I don't have. Well, what do I have? I'd rather look
Yep.
at it that way. Okay, so I may not. Deb and I may not have a lot of money, but we are the richest people in the fucking universe in love, right?
That's what
I
I,
love
say to
that.
myself, or at least try and
Myself.
and
What do I
convince,
say to myself when I wake up in the morning?
Now we saw it was probably early to mid 2024 when we saw you last.
Right.
How did the year? I mean, you had quite an interesting year. First off, you got engaged. Congratulations!
Yeah, thank you, yeah.
It's fantastic.
That's
I was hoping your fiance was going to come here because I was going to fuck with her
she
a
was
little
all
bit.
snotted out. She was
Right.
like, I felt so bad.
Aw.
She's like, I could go, but it's gonna be. I'm like, babe, don't worry.
Next time.
Next time.
And my
time.
wife thought I was going to wheel her in here too, but she's
Yes.
in pain. So
Oh, she needs to
probably
rest.
worked out, but congratulations. That's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. She's
and
amazing.
business, I mean, how did the stores do for 2024?
Good, really good. There's always the ups and downs, the fluctuation, the cost of things, but we had a really great year. Actually, we just found out for 317 that we got Best American Restaurant Long Island. So
That's
we
great.
just found out.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so this is the second year in a row that we won. So for 24, 25, and I didn't win Chef of the Year this year, boo. But but I did win 23 and 24, so I'm good with that.
perfect.
They're really good. I put out the fourth cookbook, Fork and Good, which is on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. If it's filled, we had a production issue, or they had a production issue, but it's a great book, a lot of fun. But we wound up in a good place at the end of the year. It's like anything else. You ebb and flow, and you try new things, and we're always trying new things, always creating new things. I'm very fortunate. I do a lot of TV, so I'm always on Fox and Friends and Channel 12, Channel 11, and they
That's
always
fun.
come back. Yeah.
It's interesting you said that. So I saw you last week on
Yes,
Fox and Friends,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're always on TV.
Yeah,
and
it's
you're
kinda-
always doing
it's
some
weird.
cool. And I'm
Love
like,
that.
I know
It's
that
funny,
dude.
yeah.
He's a
That's
good
cool.
dude.
funny.
I wish I was.
And you got a good personality, and
appreciate
they all
that.
love you. All the
Yeah, we have a good
reporters
time.
and things
You
like.
just make it easy, right? You got to be easy. You can't have an ego about it. It's fucking
Right.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has that changed or helped your place of business being on TV and doing all the media stuff for you?
Well, it always helps. I mean, when we on TV, we get a kick. We get a nice kick.
You
and
do?
Then, yeah. I was talking to someone last night at the restaurant, and they came last night because they saw me on Fox and Friends last week.
Awesome.
So it may not be at the moment, but we'll get it within a week period of time, and then they'll start to hear about the restaurant and come and enjoy. But it's pretty wild how it does. Even getting, oddly enough, getting stopped in a store.
That's
Like,
cool.
you know, like, oh, weren't you on just Fox and Friends? And you know, I'm nothing special, but you could always see me in a room because between the tattoos and the goatee,
Funny.
I know that guy, and yeah, I'm like, yeah,
You know what?
It's fun.
You do,
What,
yeah.
what I respect and appreciate about you and in the food industry is that, you know, a lot of chefs, they stay true to who they are. You're a dude. First off, we like the same music. We
Yep.
love the metal.
Yep.
You got your tattoos. Yep. You know, you're throwing the
Orange
the
baby.
Dio sign.
That's
and,
right. See, most people don't know that. They're like, what does that mean? And I'm like, it's the Malloy. This guy, Dio, Ronnie James Dio started it, and he was doing it, and I picked up on it, and I love it, and it's like, you know, you fire that shit up, and people are like, Dio? I'm like, ugh. You don't know who Ronnie James Dio is? You know, Rainbow, Elf, Black Sabbath? He was in Black Sabbath? I'm like, do you think it was only
I used to
Ozzy
call it
Osbourne? I'm
Black
like, anywho, so yeah.
But it's like we can be who we are
And we should be.
and not be apologetic about it.
Always be authentic.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get criticized sometimes because I say what's on my mind. Like, what's the point of bullshitting somebody and trying to be not? Listen, if we don't get along and we're not on the same page, that's all right. I want you to do well, and that's the big difference. That's a massive difference. Like people who don't like me, I don't fit into their box. They will reject or talk shit or behind my back, never to the face. But I'm always very like, listen, I don't like you, you don't like me, but I want you to do great. I always want you to fucking win. What's the point of putting out negative energy? Because it's going to come back to you, right?
Yeah.
All good things. Deb says that to me all the time. All good things. When I'm in a moment of like, I'm going to bash someone's skull in, she grounds me.
How often does it happen, though? Let's be honest for a minute. You're so positive, you're so motivational, but you want to kill people.
It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it gets intense because that old part of me that I used to be, it's there. But it's the controlling the monster, right? Once we all have it in us. It's what do you do with it? Right? What do you choose to do with it? You can do positive or you can do negative. I'd rather do positive all day long because at the end of the day, I put my head down and I sleep really, really well because I know I always do the right thing. You may not like what I say. You may not like what I do, but I'm always going to do the right thing.
You can't feed the monster. And when I get those impulses that come in, I just got to stop. And I say, all right, whatever. Don't let this thing control my thought process right now because I immediately start allowing the ego to have resentment towards people for their comments or fear where I'm going to be down the road. And it fuels that beast. Yeah. And at the end of the day, you say, look, I'm fine. Right now, I'm here sitting at the table with some friends. That's it. But it doesn't make it easy. And our business certainly is not easy for that. I mean, it's fast, it's furious. You have all kinds of different type of people. You have a number of partners.
Yes.
Right?
There's 10 of us.
So, so your group, obviously Vico, 317 Main, but also part of the Nutty Irishman, right?
James Room.
So that's a lot of people to work with, partners.
Yeah, no, there's a few of them who are involved in the day-to-day. Joe and Kevin, they're involved in the day-to-day. Everyone else is kind of like on the fringe. You know, we have our monthly meeting or a quarterly meeting, talk about business. Other than that, they're not really involved. They'll come in for dinner or lunch or brunch or whatever, but they're not involved in the day-to-day decision-making. We as managing partners do that part of it. So we always have a weekly meeting. We have operations meeting on let's see, a Tuesday, and on Thursday we have our restaurant management meeting. And we talk about all the things. And I'm very passionate about what I do.
Of course.
And I don't like when people are just, okay. Get it fucking done. Talked about this for 4 weeks. When are we going to get it done? Now I got to jump up on the table and be an asshole. I don't want to do that. Because when anyone comes to me, ever, it may not be my project, but I always take it on like it's my project.
Sure.
not everyone in the world is that way, and you try to coach them and bring them there and show them that we could do this, but I need your help. No one person is an island. You need people. You need bodies. You need mindset. And everyone comes from a different perspective. I'm out of my group, I'm the only restaurant guy. So there are teachers or accountants or lawyers. It's all different. It doesn't fall on just on me. My partner Joe he's our CPA, and he is like he's a magician. It's pretty wild, like when we talk about monies and numbers and stuff like that. And I've done that before, but it's great to have someone who is doing that every day, all day. And also he has some great ideas. My partner Kevin, great ideas. Some things work, some things don't, and some things I don't see as working. But all right, let's give it a try. Why not? Like I told you, we do this movie night thing. I'm like, all right, this is kind of dumb, but it works. It works.
Interesting when you talk about CPAs and managing numbers in the restaurant business. And, obviously I grew up in the industry and I started in the kitchen, moved to the front of the house and blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't until later in my career that you start kind of moving to the asset and liability end. And part of that is profit and loss statement and understanding your numbers. What I find the most interesting about P&L in any business is math is a universal language.
Yes, and numbers don't lie.
It tells a story.
Yep.
But for those that don't, if you can't go ahead and find the correlation between those numbers and actually apply it to what it is like in the real day-to-day, you're lost.
You're lost.
So if you find somebody like yourself and you look at a profit and loss statement and you're dissecting your food cost analysis and the meats are here and the comps are there, and you could actually be like, I know what's happening.
Right.
I know exactly what's going on. Do you find that when you're working with partners that don't understand that it can get a little frustrating, right?
Well, I will say with these guys and my previous restaurant group, they really understood it. The ones before, no, it's like, what, you're in business. How are you in business if you don't understand your business? It's not just selling a party. It's all the numbers that go into that. What's your costs? Then you can realize what's going on. And you want to get this beautiful chandelier for events. Well, it's costing you 10 grand. Where is that money coming from?
Right.
What are you charging for it? Oh no, well, it's a nicety. Well, great. Don't do that. I opened my first restaurant back in 92, 93, and my partner in Jersey knew nothing about the business. He brought me in, XYZ. I went into the bathrooms as we're doing construction. I'm in the ladies' room and I see a chandelier in there. And I'm like, where'd this fucking thing come from?
Yeah.
So his wife comes in. She's like, oh, I was at an auction in the city, and I thought, how cool would it be? Like, like a chandelier in the bathroom. Like, all right. I'm like, how much was it? Oh, it was only 20 grand. Oh, I'm like, 20 fucking grand? I'm like, take that thing out of here.
Yeah,
get it out of here right now. She's like, oh no, Steve said I could buy it. I'm like, fuck Steve and fuck you.
Yeah,
we are not doing this.
And it creates problems with the partners.
Oh my God. There's a lot. I've seen restaurants that open up and you're like, wow, the opulence of this place. Mind bending. I'm like, they must have spent $3-4 million. Ain't nobody in the dining room right now. What is going on here?
And there is such a fine line.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it before. It's even gotten more difficult.
Yeah, the margins are tight.
The margins are tighter. So typically I find, you get what you pay for, right? Like I've had, I don't know, 2,000 square foot store that cost $200 a foot to build, right? $400,000. That should give you, I don't know, 600 to 700 in sales per square foot, right? What hopefully that you should do. And then hopefully you'll go ahead and hit nowadays your 10, 12% margin. What used to be 20 cent margins at 50% return on your money. Nowadays you're lucky if you're getting 25 to 30% return on your money, which is now taking those 10-year leases and you need to extend them even longer, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
But
that's crazy.
I will tell you, if you spend $100 a foot on a 2,000 square foot restaurant, you're not going to hit that 600-700 in sales per square foot because the store, it's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
it's the truth.
You get what you pay for.
I've had
Yeah.
You know, you build a
That's
store
true.
for $75. I mean, you could spend $75 on Ruffins.
Right.
But so, I mean, there is such a fine line. And this is what we were talking about. The math and science in our industry, if you don't understand it, don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah, well,
Don't bother.
We were talking about before, the lawyer who thinks it's a good idea to open up a restaurant. How hard could I go out for dinner all the time? How hard could it be? How hard could it be? Let me tell you how hard it's going to be. Instead of spending the $1.5 million that you're going to do in building this out, just give it to me and walk away. Well, why did I do that? It's
funny, I always say
you're going
that.
to do the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
You're going to walk away in a year from now, maybe less than a year
Give
from
me
now.
half, I'll kick you in the balls, and we all come out a winner.
We'll call it a day here.
It's crazy. Like, how hard could it be?
So, and this was one of the things we were talking about before, which is what I wanted to talk about, is with the media appearances,
Yes.
the consulting, the writing of the book, and things like that. I imagine that it's helped you find supplementary income to what we have lost since pre-pandemic margins.
Yeah, well, it has. It's almost, I'm at an even keel right now. It's-
What was
so you
this
do all this extra stuff.
part of your agenda? I mean, did you
I
make
think-
conscious
I think-
efforts to?
Yeah, I think that, for the business itself, you have to be available, right? You have to be willing to go and do things that, maybe when I was just a cook, it wasn't something that was available. You want to get out there. You need to be out in social media. You need to be out on TV. You need to do those things because it's important to get eyes on you and what you're
How
doing.
did these
You're building your brand.
opportunities arrive for you? Is it just because you've been in the game long enough, or have you been making a conscious push? The restaurant group's working with you, and once you get started, I imagine snowballs.
Well, I think what happened was probably when I started, my first appearance on TV was, back in 95 when I had one of my restaurants, and it kind of built from there, and I felt very comfortable. But actually, when I worked for the Marriott organization, we did a public speaking class. So they put you on stage in front of 200 people, and they ask you to give a 2-minute speech. It could be about anything. They videotape you, and the whole idea is that you do this, they play it back for you, and then they teach you how to go on stage. So when I'm on stage, and I do a lot of conferences and conventions and stuff, and I'm very flexible, and I love doing them. But when I'm in front of 5,000 people, I don't think about it. I go on, I hit my points, and I'm off stage. And it's great. And I have fun with it. And I curse too much, and I get in trouble for it. But it's like I
so
did
to
one.
say. So
sounds familiar.
I did one for a cancer hospital in Texas. They asked me to do a keynote for their oncology radiology department. It's about 400 people in there. I mean, it's in Texas, Abilene, Texas. I don't know why I never remember it. Just happen to remember it. Abilene, Texas, a very Christian town. So my PR girl, the girl I used back then, said, "Hey, you cannot curse on stage."
Uh-oh.
Oh God.
And I'm like, "Come on!" They know what they're getting. She's like, "Please." I'm like, "Okay." So I get down there, and I'm about to go on stage, like a minute before. She calls me up. She's, "Remember, do not curse." And I'm like, "I will not." I didn't curse, but I got off stage. I called her up, and I'm like, "Motherfucker!"
That was so
I'm like,
hard
"That was
to-
so fucking hard. Don't ever do that to me again."
Yeah,
It's
you're
kinda like
used to
the-
that, and
yeah.
then you're like, no, don't pull. Yeah, no.
But it's one of those things that I enjoy doing. I love being able to share and educate. So I did this conference for 20 years called Cater Source, and I was one of the feature speakers. And for the last 5 years, I didn't do it. Well, they just asked me to come back. I'm keynoting part of the conference, and it's great because I haven't done it that part of the universe in such a long time. So it's been a lot more TV and getting in front of people and being able to share and educate. And because I've lost so much, I've failed so much, I'm able to, and it's the greatest thing ever.
Sure.
I love failing because you learn so much more, but I'm able to save these people millions of dollars and the ability to not fuck it up. Right. And the relationships that you build. And sometimes you find people you haven't spoken to in years, all of a sudden reaching out to you and saying, "You saved my business." And you're like, okay. And they go through the litany of things that you shared, and you're like, awesome. And then for a minute, you don't feel like such a piece of shit. You feel like you did something good
It's
for the day.
reaching people,
you know?
yeah.
But I think that through media, you're able to, and I'm very, very lucky. I do very well on that stuff, and it's easy for me. And you see some chefs, and sometimes I see buddies of mine on TV. I'm like, you need to watch what I do, and let me help you be better on TV. It's about not only the content that you bring into TV, but what you're displaying, how it looks, how it feels, you know?
Yeah.
So people don't want to watch, and I see this all the time. It's a flat table, a cutting board, a pan. I'm like, what do you do? Get something.
I certainly, when I noticed some of the stuff that you did specifically, Fox and Friends is levels.
Yeah.
You know, you place
visual.
things up,
Yeah,
you
it's
put
visual.
beautifully
It's
visual.
nice, though,
fun,
yeah.
right?
Catches your eye.
Yeah,
You want to actually watch and learn.
You
and-
want to
yeah.
pay attention to that stuff. I mean, it's if you have a flat table and a piece of paper and you're trying to excite people about what you're doing, you could be putting shit on a shingle literally, but they're still going to want to watch what you're doing. But you also have to be able to, you know, talk about and execute. Because you see a lot of people, and I'm really guilty of this, and I shouldn't do this, but I'm an asshole sometimes. So at the conference, my buddies will go on stage, chefs will go on stage, and they'll teach a class. And I take a piece of paper out, and I write the letter I, the word O, the word and the words you know. And I tick how many times they say that. Well, what I do is, like I go in and I give them the piece of paper and I'm like, here, like, what's that?
That's pretty.
And
Yeah,
I'm
that's clever.
This is how
actually.
many
You don't
times
realize.
you've said that. If you have nothing to say or if you lose your space, take a pause. Let it be dramatic.
Oh wow.
Rub your chin. So, and then you go into the next thing. It's like, it should be second nature, but it's not. Talking in public is not second nature to people.
It's not
easy.
it doesn't
It's a
come
weird
easy.
thing.
for
Not
a lot.
easy.
No, it doesn't. I'm very lucky that I started at a young age doing it. So to me, it's like, when people call me up like, dude, you crushed it. You're so normal and natural. You should have your own show. Well, first of all, shows are different. When you're on a TV show and you're doing it like full time, you get the Tom Colicchios, the Gordon Ramsay guys who do it all the time. So they're very, it's a normal thing. It's second nature to them. But when you're on just a TV show as a competitor, you just want to focus on your food, and talking to somebody is like, I don't know what the fuck I'm saying.
I would imagine, though, that somebody like yourself who clearly has found peace and serenity and is content within their own skin is not self-conscious when you're on stage. I mean, it's just like, you're like, whatever, man. I'm fucking me. I'm cool.
That is the thing. Like, it's the, I don't fucking care. I don't like, it's even when I get I get very comfortable with customers, and maybe sometimes I shouldn't, because I sometimes say the wrong thing and I catch myself in a moment. I'm like, should have said that, but oh well. But I genuinely don't give a fuck what people think about me. Like, it is the most leveling thing.
Free.
Yeah, it
like,
feels
it's
good.
free. Yeah,
Feels really good.
Oh, you're gonna say something to me I haven't said to myself 1,000 times.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. Even when I was at my heaviest, like, oh, you're gonna call me a fat fuck?
Oh, my
like, you know how many
friends
times
did.
I've done that every day of my fucking life?
Right.
Before I put the gun in my mouth? Yeah, no, you're not gonna tell me anything
Oh, my
that I
friend
don't
told
know.
me I should have got lipo when I was on the beach one time before I lost all my weight. She's like, "Oh, you ever think about like lipo or lap band in front of
Holy
all these
shit.
people?"
Yeah, that's fun.
And I
What
went,
does it
really?
matter? It just sucked.
Real nice, yeah.
fucking
Real
weird.
fun. No, trust me, weird
Ashley,
as shit.
Here's the thing, and I think we all know that anybody that is criticizing somebody is just projecting inwards
Well,
outwards.
that's what I said
Yeah,
this
yeah.
weekend too, because I had a little mishap. My friend, we were talking about just like random things, like Louis Vuitton bags, let's say, right? She's like, "Well, you need to be in your means, and no one's gonna believe that you have a real bag looking at you." And I was like,
Wow, that's
go fuck
cute.
yourself.
Yeah.
I don't like Kate Spade. Fuck you." And I just thought to myself, wow, like I'm usually the creative friend. I'm the one with the tattoos. I'm the one who's wearing a Stan shirt for Eminem. Like, I don't care. I'm different from all my friends, but the way that they make me feel sometimes, I'm like, you know what? This is why I want to strive to do better.
Take that out of your vocabulary. They don't make you feel any way.
Yeah.
You feel a certain way based on their reaction.
Yeah.
And fuck what they think.
I know. That's what I said
They
this weekend.
learn.
I'm
That's
like,
an
honestly,
important thing to learn. It really is, because I learned that no one does anything to me. No one ever makes me feel bad. I react. I own the emotion of it, right? Once you do that, you'll be unfuckable with. Oh, that what you say? Oh, all right, go fuck yourself. Walk away.
I really should. I know,
but do that. Work on that, because I did that.
I know,
tell people
I
all
have
the
to
time,
work on it.
I had to work on it. Listen, I got so low to the ground that the only way to learn is stay there, see what got me there, get up and wipe it off, and then go.
it's either I'm really low or I'm really crazy. It's a problem.
You will find that your ego and your self-esteem are diametrically opposed.
100%.
And that when your self-esteem is very low, your ego will take over and compensate. And you will be a prick. Right. And you will fucking abuse people. And on the flip side is when your self-esteem is high and you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, finally you feel good.
There's no ego because you just don't care. And that's the way to live. And I wanted to ask you something. I'm sure as a mentor, probably to many young guys in the generation. I mean, at this point, you got a couple of years on me, but for us, who've been in the industry a long time, I mean, we're fossils.
I said it all the time, I'm a fucking dinosaur.
We're eldest statesmen, and you wear it with a badge of honor. And we spoke about this before, and I will tell you, I think the most valuable lesson that I've absolutely learned is to remove the ego out of this industry.
Ego death.
But there are a lot of young and upcoming restaurateurs. Just like when I opened my first store at 23 years old. A 23-year-old has no business owning a fucking restaurant.
Oh, trust me. I was at the same spot.
I had a good time, a lot of fucking women, a lot of coke, a lot of money, and I have none of it left. So let me tell you.
Craig's got nothing.
But the young guys, when they're coming up, and there is no doubt that ego will fuel success.
To an extent.
Doesn't keep it sustainable. Yeah. But when you see some of the young and upcoming restaurateurs that are coming, and we've reached out, I'm not going to say any names, we've reached out to a bunch. And
no one answers, thanks.
And they don't respond. And I'm like, oh, all right, whatever. Yeah. But I remember, how do you tell the 34-year-old who's getting a taste of success for the first time, getting the write-ups, opening up stores at possibly a reckless pace? Well, how do you tell them to fucking calm it down?
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you bring that up because there's been a couple of guys in this past year, and in fact, one last week, that I had a very interesting conversation with because I see how they're flowing. And my approach is get to know them, talk to them, get to trust me. Because, when we come from our side of it, they wouldn't survive in where we came up in. They wouldn't understand that you could get stabbed in the arm, oil thrown at you, pots and pans thrown at you, and say, yes, chef. Now it's like, oh, you hurt my feelings. I'm going to go home. Go fuck yourself. But with these guys, I talk to them. I get to know them. And I'm like, listen, I'm bringing 44 years to you. Whatever you need from me, let me know. Hey, how you doing today? Hey, what's going on? Send them a text message. Hey, I see great plates on social media. How's your food cost? How's the staffing?
If they answer.
But I'm relentless though. Because when I see someone that has the gift, you go after them to help them. I don't need anything in return. I want to see you successful. So you become relentless on it. I got a couple of guys who are TV guys in my world that they know that my intent is to help, to give a different set of eyes, different set of ears, different set of ideas. Because they're TV guys, they think they matter. Right. At the end of the day, you're only as good as your last. Just like I tell my guys, we're only as good as our last burger.
It's true.
It doesn't matter. You could be the great, but you gotta go at them with that constant hey, and they're not gonna listen. They're gonna fail, and you're gonna be like, hey, are you okay? That's when it matters the most. When they're shit falling on the floor, crying in the corner. What do you do for them? Instead of saying, I told you so, you go, come here. Let's clean this shit up. Let's start again.
Right.
And that's how you make impact on people. That's how I've done it. Mm-hmm. Like when people are coming crawling because of their personal shit, because they're so fucked up, because they let their ego get in the way. Listen, at my age, I learned about ego death. And it was the greatest education I've ever had. When I was here last time, I mentioned to you guys that I messed up the greatest relationship I ever had, and that's with Deb, who I'm engaged to. At that moment, when I came in here, it was about 2 weeks fresh. And my ego got in the way of something, and her side wasn't any better, but I was the wrong one. And I realized how I was leading with stuff with ego instead of clarity, honesty, integrity, and growth. And it's just learning ego death was the greatest thing, and really understanding the power of now. reading that book, The Power of Now, changed my perspective on everything. So when I talk about I don't give a fuck what people think about me, I don't. You can either love me or not, and I'm okay with that. I will, you're born, you die.
This guy pumps me up.
I know, makes me feel better. I'm like, yeah, fuck these people.
It's true. It's all
so
true, right?
fucking true, man. And
dealing with that kind of stuff too.
But you got to use this stuff, right? You got to use what you got. It could be all that shit that's around you, right? And you know the answer. It'd be one thing if you were stupid. You're a smart guy. Like, you know what you're fucking talking about. You just have to take the things that you know and apply them every day, right? Mm-hmm. But we don't until we understand where we really are. And I think you understand where you really are. I get that from you a lot. You're deep, and you got this.
Not like you are fucked up, man.
No, but you make a lot of mistakes. But you get it though, right? But you get it, which is why that's why you sustain the life you sustained. That's why you are where you are, and that's why you're doing stuff like this. Because you're able to share in that experience without any trepidation, without any, falsehood in front of you. You are who you are genuinely, authentically. That's one of the reasons I came back, because you guys are authentic, and I love that.
I appreciate that.
I love that because, insane recognizes insane.
How long has the Nutty Irishman been in business?
I think we just hit 20 years.
That's amazing.
But my partners have had it we've had it for 7 years now.
So, but in the bar business, in order to stay sustainable like that, you probably have to reinvent yourself.
Well, there's always creative
every couple
ideas.
of years.
Joe, and we have our director of marketing, Karina. They come up with some really cool programs, great DJs, great ideas to keep it really relevant to what's going on, and cutting edge type stuff of where it's not. It's sustainable. It's creative, and I think it was 2 summers ago, Joe redid the back patio, expanded, added a live band stage. We have 2 stages,
cool.
and one
Gives a
inside,
shot of
outside.
adrenaline.
Yeah, bar out there, really cool, fun.
My dreams.
Yeah. But listen, they come out in droves, and it's a rite of passage. Nutty Irishman is a rite of passage. I talk to people about it all the time. They're like, "Oh my God, I went there when I was in my 20s." And they're like 50 years old. And
We had the Bordy Barn.
Oh yeah,
I've heard. Yeah, never been there.
I never did the barn. The barn was
no, the barn was insane. I
wild.
went there. Yes,
I remember at
Crawled the
the
steps.
barn. I remember going out there, and you line up. It's 7 a.m.
Oh my gosh, the longest line.
And you
ever.
wait,
yeah,
for 4 hours
just
to get in
those
there.
beers.
And while you're waiting, people are running to the supermarket next door, buying cases of beer, and you're just handing it out to each other.
Gaming on the line.
There's a camaraderie that each bar goer has when you go to the barn, and the same thing when you would get in. And the idea of the barn is you're covered in mud.
Yeah, you
and
got
shit.
stickers all over you. You don't give a shit.
And I remember it took me a half an hour to get to the bar once I got in there.
Oh, yeah.
But
the
it
worst.
didn't matter because people they would buy 12 packs
'cause it was
of
like
16-ounce cans.
$3 beers in there too. Was like a really cheap beer too.
And you just
Just
hand them
send
out.
them
What
out.
you do is you give back to one another. So you're never without a beer. You see somebody without a beer, you hand them a beer.
Yeah.
See, me growing up in Brooklyn, like there was L'Amour's and Limelight and
L'Amour's.
we used
Typo negative. I'm
yeah.
sure you've seen them a bunch of times.
Yeah, it was funny because there was. I'm really aging myself. Studio 54. I never got in, but I used to sell drugs outside of it.
Oh, that's great. Oh, nice. Make
Yeah,
good money
I knew my timing and where I had to be and what I had to do. It was wild. I'm working on my autobiography, and Christmas Day, when my mom came over, I said, "Listen, I want you to know I'm writing the book, and there are things that you don't know."
Oh yeah, they're gonna
Don't
love that.
get upset.
So
yeah.
I'm going to tell you everything beforehand. So the things you didn't know, because I was looking for black and whites of my family from when my mom was a kid, and she sent me this picture of in Coney Island. It used to be a parachute jump. Ride.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the 50s, someone died because the cable broke and they never opened it again, but they left the thing still standing. So when I was selling drugs as a kid, I was using more than I was selling. And I had one of my watchers, tiny.
Watchers.
Yeah, basically, he was the guy who gave it to me, and I gave him the money, and then So one time I didn't give him enough money, and I used more than I sold, and he brought me to Coney Island, and because Stillwell Avenue, that area was mine. There used to be a game, like a game room called Playground, but I shouldn't really talk about this now. The book's going to come. But at the back of Playground, there was a rolling gate that I had cut one of the pieces out so it would slide, and I could sell the drugs through that.
Oh,
It was very inventive. I was very
clever.
creative. I was
Like
an
a
entrepreneur
drive-through.
at 13 years old.
They call that a glory hole in other
Yeah,
establishments.
well,
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
None of that there. So one time I didn't give him the right amount of money, so he had to teach me a lesson. He brought me over to where the parachute jump was. There were chains there, and he wrapped one around my neck, kicked the chair out, a block from out underneath me, and taught me to never do that again. So my mom sends me the picture, and I'm
like
like,
the Salem witch
oh,
trials at Coney
fuck.
Island.
I'm like looking at this thing. I'm like, Mom. I'm like, we gotta talk. And so I told the story. She's like, I knew there was something wrong with you. I'm like,
Oh, you did?
yeah,
Well,
you
now
did.
you're
Now
figuring
all
it
of a
out,
sudden,
or-
yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, thanks, man. Really.
God bless you, man. So what now? Obviously, you got the book. You got a couple of books.
Yes. 4.
Where do people see you? What do we need to know about you in the near future?
I'm working on a bunch of different projects. Trying to get this book really pushed hard. Working on the autobiography, the restaurants. I'm going to be doing some more stuff on Fox and Friends and Channel 12, and just constantly developing that, and just playing around with some ideas that we'll see what sticks, because there's something bigger for me. And I don't know what it is yet, but the universe is
you always feel
moving
that.
me in a direction, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to let you guide me. That's one of the things I've learned from Deb about letting things just be, and it'll get you to where you need to be. Yeah.
So with that being said, what's interesting, I'm sure like you look at the upcoming trends for the year in the industry. What they say in 2025, one of the big trends is collaborating with fellow restaurants.
Yeah.
Is supposed to be something on the up and in the horizon. So I hope, and we're brewing a couple of pretty cool ideas down there, that we may have some opportunity to do some joint things together, provided we get past any hiccups that we have over here.
And you will.
But this is what's fun about the industry, is instead of competing with one another, we are stronger together.
Yeah.
We really
Well,
are.
I've tried to do a couple of collabs this past year, and they just didn't. The ticket sales weren't there. Maybe we're charging too much. Maybe we're, but there are things that I'd want to do. Collaborations I think are great. I think everyone gains from it. Whether it's at my house or your house or someone's house, you get to do these things together and to build something that's not existing. When I was in Jersey, we did this shit all the time. For whatever reason, Long Island, there's a couple of chefs out there that I got to know well, and we talk all the time about. We tried doing some stuff, and some stuff worked, some stuff didn't. But you try. You got to keep working at that.
And you know what? You have fun.
That's the most important thing.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What else we doing this for, right?
There's once you get a group of chefs in the same room together who are the same mindset, instead of my food's better than yours. Listen, my food's better than mine, not yours. I do my shit every fucking day, and I always look at the dish. I was talking to my sous chef last week, and I'm like, every dish we make, I want you to look at it from a different perspective. How do we make it better? I don't care if we've been doing it 5 years, 2 years, a year. I don't care if it's a dish that I've done for 20 years. Let's look at it. How do you make it better? That's that ego death thing they talk about. It's not perfect. You work at that.
Words of wisdom, my friend. I appreciate you. I appreciate you
Yeah,
coming
thank you
down,
so
man.
much.
I appreciate being here.
Make me feel good when you're talking.
Does it make you feel good? I
There
was
you
fucking
go.
miserable.
I know.
There you go.
I
Little
feel
ray of
like
fucking
we're
sunshine.
in the right direction here.
Now I'm gonna go home and be
Something.
fucking pissed off in probably another hour after I gotta clean the
You
house.
get the dishes
But-
done, and exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Take
Chef,
care,
thank you,
Cinderella.
Thanks
Eric
for having
Levine.
me. Thanks for having me again.
317 Vico, the Nutty. Check him out and fucking share the blowhole, you cocksuckers. You know what I mean?
Ask every time.
Freezing
Yeah.
our ass off over
God.
here in the dead of winter. But thank you all for joining us, and we will see you later. Peace.